On this episode of Money and Power, we discuss super discount clubs, second mile service, and porno side. But first, Kid Inc.
I got the money and the power. Yeah. Once you get a little, they just want to take you down, cuz we've been going hard for too long. Can't get enough, what is you on? Yeah. Really ain't nothing I could drop that. Wake up in the morning, make it all okay.
Welcome to episode 16 of Money and Power, our weekly look at questions related to finance, politics, and culture. I am your host, Nathan Martin, and joining me from Michigan, a financial consultant, host of the Rob Talks Money podcast, and a human calculator, Rob Johnson.
Howdy.
And joining me in studio here in the crown jewel of rural Ohio, a bottler, a haberdashery expert, and a bartender, Jeremiah Martin.
I'm here.
Together we are the trio of talk, the triad of the tittle-tattle, and the triumvirate of the tete-a-tete. Here at your service on a weekly basis, bringing you the news that most other people don't dare. It's kind of what we do. So how was your guys' last week?
Pretty good. Nothing too noteworthy on my end.
How about you, Rob?
My week has been stellar.
Well, there you go. Good.
That sounds false.
No, it's been
Yeah,
really
it
good.
almost-
This was the. I was talking with one of my coworkers about this. This was the first weekend in probably a year where neither my wife or I had anything scheduled. So, pretty amazing.
Awesome. Well, I had a fairly good week too. My wife's finishing up a missions trip. Her and my oldest went to Haiti, so they're currently on a plane back from Miami. So it's pretty exciting. I get to see my wife for like 30 minutes before I head off on a plane for California. So it's awesome stuff.
The lives we lead.
The lives we lead. World travelers. So yeah, Jeremiah's going to be taking me to the airport. So that's why we're recording on a Monday. We generally record on Tuesdays, but we're recording on a Monday this week because of that. So just for time reference, if we the world explodes on Wednesday before this is uploaded, you understand why we don't have a clue about it and didn't reference it. So
We just need to add in a little bit at the end. It's like, you will not believe what Trump tweeted. And we'll just cover all our bases.
yeah, exactly. It's like, oh my goodness, guys, look what Trump just tweeted, and then just goes to the exit music. We should make that like a running thing at the end. Anyways, it's now time for our look back at the weird, the inane, and the general happenings going on in the world by the crazy people who happen to live here. News bits.
News bits. Show me your bits of news.
All right, Rob, what is your news bit?
So I am bringing a story that I think everyone will appreciate. I am a bargain shopper, and I am also a Costco member. So those two things are pretty much synonymous, I think. Although, you know what? Hold on, let me back up. I can't go to Costco without spending $300, so I don't really know how that's a bargain thing, but there's some good deals. Anyhow, so Costco has don't judge me. Costco has a program that I think is really interesting for the marketplace that I think consumers would like to hear about. So basically, Costco has an auto program, and it allows members to buy cars at a discount rate through pre-negotiated prices at dealerships. And I think it's pretty handy. So basically what happens is Costco negotiates all of these deals with different, sound like Trump, all these best negotiations ever. But Costco, they do. The best people, tremendous deals. You're going to get tired of winning at Costco. So they have basically a program where you go on this website and you can compare new cars, and they negotiate the price for you. And the neat thing about it is the price is only about $1,000 on average cheaper than the market. But Costco will act as a mediator between you and the dealer if anything comes up before or after the warranty. So Costco is notorious for being able to have a used mattress. You can have a used mattress with mattress stains and bring it back, and they'll take it back. It's crazy. I was talking with a supervisor there, and I asked her, what's the craziest thing people bring back? And she's like, well, people bring back mattresses after like 5 years, and we'll take them. I was like, wow. That's crazy. So Costco takes that same stance with this car buying thing, and they have a very good positioning to act on behalf of their customer. So they're taking what they do already in the store and applying it to different things. And they do this for vacations and also like things like HVAC repair. And Costco really does do a lot for their members. And they really do put a high value on treating their members exceptionally. So if you are a Costco member or want to be one, this is they're sponsoring this week's show. So you can go ahead and get your membership, $55, get a new car.
Yeah. Well, we don't have a Costco near us, so thanks.
Yeah.
What do you guys have? Like a Sam's Club?
Yeah,
Sam's Club.
Sam's Club, and we're members, but so I totally understand your sentiment of coming out with if you come out with a bill less than $300, you feel like you've won the lottery.
Yes.
My wife
like-
does on a regular basis.
What did we get? We got bacon and just bacon, actually.
10,000 straws. But they were on sale, honey.
Well, my daughter likes the smoothies at Costco, so we'll go and get one. And then my wife's like, "Oh, we need a couple of things," and that couple of things turns into half the store. So then it's like 2 carts and a forklift later. We're on our way home.
So a couple things we do is that we do those like paper tray nacho kind of things that you would get like at a fair or something, because that's what we actually use for plates in our household. So we don't have to do as many dishes. And we also do their potato salad at Sam's Club. The potato salad at Sam's Club is amazing. It's amazing. We also do gift cards. So they have like depending on the gift cards you get, they have like 5% to 15% off the gift card amount. So I'll get iTunes gift cards and I will get Hulu gift cards because we have those as recurring things anyways. And so, boom.
Neat.
That's what we do.
All right. Well, that was a hot news bit.
Hey, this is what we're here for.
It can't all be sexy. It can't all be Caitlyn Jenner and all right. Is it? Wait.
Caitlyn Jenner. And her lips.
This just in, folks. Rob Johnson finds Caitlyn Jenner to be sexy.
Wow.
Quote end quote.
That's a hot take. All right. So my news bit is about Movie Pass. So a lot of people have kind of probably heard now, but Movie Pass is in really, really, really big trouble. So last Thursday, they basically ran out of money, had to secure a $5 million emergency loan just to start paying for movie tickets, and the system went down. Unfortunately for them, it was impeccable timing because it happened to be the same day or within like 24 hours of them doing a reverse stock split. So their stocks were at like 80 cents a share. They did a reverse stock split, which got their shares to $20 a share. Then after this news, it went abruptly down to like $1.20 again. So that didn't work. And so they're in a lot of trouble. They've instituted surge pricing and a lot of stuff. So it's just not good. I canceled my Movie Pass membership. It just wasn't worth it anymore. And I know a lot of other people too are saying that once their membership goes up, so a lot of people did, they bought a year in advance. So if you bought a year in advance, surge pricing hasn't hit for you yet. So you don't get that. But like I went to go see, Jeremiah and I went to the movie theater on Saturday, and I had to pay $5 in surge pricing for a movie that would have normally cost me $7.50 with my military discount. So I was like, oh, wow, I got a discount of $2.50 versus the entire $7.50 ticket, which I would have normally. So it just doesn't make sense financially for me to keep going. So I canceled. A lot of people have canceled their MoviePass memberships. And it's a great business model. Just the people that are running MoviePass right now are idiots, I guess, is the bottom line.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they're in a catch-22 because the whole model was based on kind of a gym membership model that you want a lot of people that have a subscription, but you're kind of banking on the fact that not everyone will utilize the subscription to its fullest. But initially, especially early on, they had people that were watching 20 and 30 movies a day. And for those who don't know, you pay, initially you paid the $9.99 a month and you got unlimited movies. And they had to pay that, they didn't have any deals with the movie theaters. And so they were paying that out of a bank account and basically playing the long game that this business model would work out. But they had so many people that were, watching 15, 20, 30 movies a month that they were only paying $9.99 for. And then the irony of the situation is now with their changes that will ultimately make it cheaper for them to operate, but ironically pushing people away from their subscription model.
Yeah, so the name of the game with them is subs. And so they want to get into about the $5 million sub range because they've actually been able to track. So this is where their leadership pretty much idiots, okay? So they know that if they advertise a movie in the MoviePass app, they actually increase the amount, right? And then the long game is actually for them to actually be involved in distribution. So to go out and get an independent film, have it put in theaters, offer it on MoviePass, bumps it up. But what they've essentially done, though, through this, it's good for the market, right? Because what they've shown movie theaters is that, wow, there's another way of doing business. Because essentially, movie theaters get jack squat off their ticket sales.
Right.
Very low, like 80 cents a person or something ridiculous like that. This is what they actually get. Where they make most of their money is on concessions. Well, MoviePass also showed that people who used MoviePass, their concession buying was astronomically higher than the average person going in there. So they showed a movie theater, hey, if we offer something similar, we're going to make a bank on concessions, which actually is what we make money off of, even if we're going to lose a little bit on basically the wholesale ticket price that we had to pay a theater or a studio. So
just stay home and torrent your films like everyone else.
I don't know about everyone else, but
well, Nathan showed me how, and I've been off and running ever since. So
fair. All right, Jeremiah, what do you got?
So this news bit falls into the category of
hot.
Hot.
So I was going to say, the weird and the crazy people that live here on this planet. That it kind of fits into that category, but yeah, obviously Rob finds a wide variety of things attractive and sexy and hot. So yeah,
whoa,
to each his own, I guess.
You do you, Rob.
Hold on. I didn't mean to say Caitlyn Jenner. I meant to say one of the other ones.
Who did you mean to say?
I don't know.
Please enlighten.
I don't
Here,
know.
I'll help you out. You meant to say Kylie.
Sure.
She's the one that had the lips that you brought in the news bit 2 episodes ago.
Listen, we get it. It was supposed to be a callback, and it turned into just a really awkward Freudian slip. We get it.
Turned into a back call.
Whoa. Hold on here.
Anyways, Jeremiah. What's this hot thing you're bringing us?
All right. So this article comes at you from FoxNews.com. It says Arkansas woman shoots, kills husband over. Yeah, there you go. Shoots and kills husband over pornography. Police say. Now, just the headline. It's interesting. It's drawn me in. I'm intrigued. And hey, I could see some things going wrong there. Just immediately into the story, we find out that this was pornography that he has bought. It says Patricia Hill, 69, shot and killed her husband Frank after he bought pornography, according to the police.
Okay. So it's 2018. Who's buying porn?
Apparently this guy. So it gets it gets worse. So all right. There had never been any prior physical altercations between the couple. However, Mrs. Hill stated that she disagreed with her husband's purchase of video pornography via the television guide, which she canceled upon discovering the purchase. But Mr. Hill managed to place a subsequent order, Major Woods said. Mrs. Hill stated that she entered the shed and asked her husband to leave, but he refused. And when he didn't leave the shed, Hill told investigators she went back to their home and got a .22 caliber pistol. And it just it went downhill from there.
Downhill.
Yeah. Guys,
And I love the police officer's name is Major Woods. I mean, you just can't make this stuff up.
I thought it was the name of the film.
All right, so this guy basically buys pay-per-view porn
correct.
on his cable package or whatever, and
Yeah, I mean, so let's be clear. This isn't even like, hey, put in your credit card number and it's like on the internet and it's like $1.99 for
Right.
a month subscription or whatever the scam they've got running. It's probably incredibly expensive, like $19.99 for a clip. Like it's on pay-per-view on a cable,
like a $25 rental.
Yeah. So he orders it. She cancels it. He orders it again. Does not learn from his mistakes. I just.
Well, and then she gets a .22 handgun. How many times did she have to shoot him?
That is a great question. Shot her husband twice, striking him once in the leg and once in the head.
I wonder where she was aiming.
Oh boy.
Yep. Yeah. So guys, just a general warning. Pornography does not pay.
No.
Does not.
And don't pay for pornography.
I
Both-
did see a
both are-
follow-up that really he ordered Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. And she just she just misunderstood.
He was just nostalgic for like Dick Van Dyke.
The puns, the
I tell you,
euphemisms, so many.
Deep Impact.
Hey guys, I think we have some feedback.
all right. Well, before we get to feedback, oh Lord mercy.
How are we going to transition into a leadership series?
There's a good listener question of the week. So, what is the real movie title that if your significant other found on your cable bill, they would do a double take and might have to Google?
That's a great Great question. Yeah, so send us your feedback there at Money Power Pod on all socials. Send us a comment or a message, and let us know the answer to that question. What picture would cause your significant other to do a double take? I like it.
I already have my number one.
What's that?
You ready for this? It's Octopussy. And it's a PG-rated film, too.
Isn't that that's James Bond, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I could see someone misinterpreting that.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. The first time I saw that title, when I was a kid, I was extremely offended. I'm like, "What is this?"
Ew, what is that?
There's 8 of them? What is going on?
We got to move on.
All right, so
Jeremiah's going to lose his pastor's license.
I don't know how are we going to pull this out of the ditch to get to the serious topic. All right, so what you are going to hear is
Confession.
Yeah. Next on the show notes says serious segment.
I don't even know. All right, so what you are going to hear is part 5 and the final piece of my talk on leadership, specifically dealing with the 5 laws of relationship. So we wrap up listening to these, and we're going to expound on them and how they relate to our various fields like we have been doing. And this week's talk is on servant leadership. Which leads us to our 5th and final law of relationship: second mile service. The belief in this comes from Matthew 5:41. And whoever compels you to go 1 mile, go with him 2. Now, this one is better in the context of Jesus' time. A Roman soldier could compel any Jew on a road to help them carry their stuff. Now, they could do this out of necessity or out of laziness. It didn't matter the motivation. But the law stated that they could only be compelled to do so for 1 mile and 1 mile only. But here, Jesus is proclaiming that they go 2. What? The Roman soldiers had great leeway within the territories they had to enforce and carry out Pax Romana. Their tax structure was far from just. If there was ever an example of a people not deserving of second mile service, it was the Romans and their soldiers. However, the instruction here is clear. Go above and beyond what is asked of you, even by those who don't deserve it. Our first lesson here is radically exceeding expectations is a winning strategy. Now, can you imagine the look on the Roman soldier's face? He gets to the 1 mile mark, and this Jew he has picked up to carry his stuff just keeps on trucking on. What is going on? Even the deepest resentment and hurt can be melted away by doing the unexpected, and radically exceeding expectations is the best place to be. Man, I don't care if it is with your team, your church, or in your home. Do you overpromise and underdeliver, or do you radically exceed expectations? Now, on the goal front, I have but a few times faced a metric that I did not beat or an expectation I did not exceed. And a lot of times, this wasn't just a personal metric. I had to get whole teams engaged in a way that would exceed the goal. And sometimes these things aren't easy. Leadership seldom is, but if you are engaged in the fight, more on that in a moment, and you are able to break the metric down into why it is important, give a pathway to success, you will witness greatness that your team didn't even know they could achieve. And your customers will have had their expectations radically exceeded, and that is a very winning strategy. Our second lesson is that trust is tied to dependability. Trust is the lifeblood of relationship. A part of that equation is understanding that the people in your life have to know that you will be there when needed. In other words, you can't go 2 miles if you don't even show up for the first one on a consistent basis. And like I stated before, if you are constantly overpromising and underdelivering, there won't even be a place for a relationship to start and grow. You have to start with that dependability and that trust. And lesson number 3, you cannot be a servant leader without a second mile service attitude. Man, there are so many leadership books on servant leadership, and I agree with a lot of them. So I will not regurgitate much of that here. But you cannot be a servant leader without serving. Kind of goes without saying. And you will not be viewed as serving without second mile service attitude. You have to have that. You have to have a second mile service attitude. And what does that mean? That means that there's presence. That you're not just going the first mile with somebody, but you're also going the second mile with somebody. There is a presence there, a relationship that is insinuated there. You cannot be a servant leader from a distance either. You have to be in the fight with the team. You have to be in the fight with your family. And again, we've said this over and over again. Relationship can't happen at a distance, and neither can servant leadership. As an aside, you cannot be a servant leader without a relational attitude either. It is literally impossible to put others' needs before your own long term if you do not care for what those needs are in the first place. So we know that there's always a law of transaction. And the 5th law of transaction here is meeting expectations. Forget falling short of expectations. We all know that that is a recipe for disaster. Even those with a transactional mindset, while they are more susceptible to failing in this regard, usually the market, their wife, or someone else compels them to go 1 mile. And they will do so. But there is something uncharacteristically cold about merely meeting expectations all the time. Good customer service doesn't live here. Good leadership doesn't live here. Good relationships don't live here either. It is the bare minimum service values that actually leave a rotten taste in our guts. Because we have all interacted with someone who, you know what, they did exactly what they said they would do, but it's not necessarily what was done. It was how it was done. So transaction isn't just about missing the mark. Sometimes it is hitting the mark, because indeed you can't even get transactions without at least hitting the mark. But what we're saying is relationship is that deeper dive to exceeding that on a consistent basis. Man, it has been so good to be here with you and talk to you about these 5 laws of relationship. So in conclusion, we're going to go right back to where we started. 2 roads, 1 relational and 1 transactional. So this is the fork where true change can happen in your life. And I just want to implore you that it is never too late to get back to this fork in the road. Now, it won't magically fix the hurt that has been caused by your transactional thinking. But it is only on this path where true healing can begin. I hope that you have learned a lot. I hope that you have gained some things to think about on your journey. And regardless of whether it is in a boardroom, a church, or in your own family. So think about those 5 laws of relationship. The first law being the golden rule. The second law being that empathy is the gateway to relationship. The third law being that we should show ourselves friendly. The fourth law, that we should embrace the community. And of course, that fifth law of having that second mile service. In closing, there are two roads: relational, transactional. On which one will you choose to walk? All right, Jeremiah.
Yeah, one of the things that I've really appreciated about this series is not just the laws of relationship that we're talking about here, but I really like the laws of transaction. A lot of the things that we're talking about as it relates to servant leadership, as it relates to the golden rule, and you said this before, Nathan, that these are not revolutionary concepts. They ultimately go back to biblical principles, but I think where there's really a point of where we can really learn is from kind of the converse of these principles, the converse of the laws. And so I really appreciate the laws of transaction and going through that. And this one was really great. The idea of just meeting the bare minimum, just going that 1 mile, just hitting the mark, but maybe barely. And this goes to a principle that we've talked about before, which is the idea of keeping score. And a lot of times in relationships, we keep score with different things. And, well, I did this, and so you did this. And I think that's the epitome of keeping score right here is, well, I hit the mark. I did the bare minimum. I went my mile. I didn't go an inch farther, but I hit my mile. And that's the beauty of, I think, this mentality of going the second mile, is that it's not keeping score. It's not, I went the second mile and I'm not going to go a step further than that second mile. It's all you had to do was a mile and you went beyond that. So whether you went 10 feet beyond that, whether you went half a mile beyond that, whether you went 3 miles beyond that, you went above and beyond. And that, to your point, Nathan, that is where relationship happens, where I'm not keeping score. I'm doing this because I care about the relationship. I'm doing this because I want to do everything in excellence. I'm doing this because I want to treat others how I want to be treated, just to wrap some of the other principles together.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you're absolutely right. Like, it does all tie in, or, sometimes it's, I'm going to go the extra mile because that's what I want other people to do for me, going back to the first law and all that. Yeah, it does all wrap in there. Rob.
Yeah, I appreciate the time that you took to, put all this together. Going through the progression of how we ought to lead and comparing and contrasting views is so valuable because it's stuff that we do every day. I mean, this is a clear example. Going the extra mile, doing things a little bit above what was asked is nothing but good. I mean, there's nothing but good that can come from that when you're helping people over what they requested. And the nice thing about this, and I would say this with all the laws, is that it's applicable to all things, not just business. So it's applicable to marriage, or how you treat and work with your kids, or the efforts that you put into on side projects, or whatever it is. I mean, these things are more applicable than just to business. And I think that's something that everyone should realize, even as we go back through. And I think we're going to post this whole entire thing together as one show. But as you go back through and listen, these things are not just for business. These things are very much a part of an objective moral ethic that we all ought to carry out.
100%. And that's kind of why I wanted to kind of put it. That's what led me to try to think of this in the first place, because I didn't want to just look at and write another leadership book. But I wanted to kind of look at something that was kind of, it crossed all those borders, this, you could use this just as a parenting thing. You could just use this as a marriage thing. You could just use this as a business guide. Because the bottom line is, where there are two or more people together, there is the potential for relationship. And so whether that's with your children, you're not going to do anything in life in a vacuum. Like if you have a business, even if you're the sole proprietor, you need customers, and therein lies humans. Like we are faced with the transaction versus relational decision making in every aspect of our life. There's not a single aspect that this doesn't border, and it's because we interact with humans all the time.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I keep going back to is the idea that these principles sound really easy. They even kind of, some of them have become cliche, in our current culture. I had a pastor once who, when he was talking about biblical principles, when he was talking about even going back to the gospel, he would say, and he said this often, and I think it applies to this as well. He would say, it's simple, but it's not easy. It's simple. It's easy to understand, treat others how you would want to be treated. I mean, that's pretty simple, but it's not easy. It's not easy. And I think we really see that in this law, especially when you talk about under promise, over deliver versus the alternative of over promise, under deliver. And that's one of the hardest things, because it sounds really good and it sounds really easy even to do, more than you said you were gonna do, or, submit a project sooner than the deadline, or whatever the case may be. But when you're talking to your supervisor and they ask you, hey, how long is this going to take? It's really easy to say, oh, not a problem, I'll have it to you this afternoon. Or something that sounds good. But it's a lot harder to give the difficult but maybe more truthful answer, which is, hey, I'm waiting on this from so-and-so, and I'm waiting on this, and this bill hasn't come in, this invoice hasn't come in, and, it might not be till the end of the week. And then, hey, something came in and I was able to do it tomorrow and actually, beat that deadline. But when the rubber hits the road, these principles are not easy. Yeah. And when you're in that situation, to under promise but then over deliver, it's simple, but it's not easy.
Yeah, and also like in that context, like maybe your boss was just wanting the truth because, hey, somebody else over here can do that same task. So if you're buried, then you can't get it done by Thursday. Not a problem. I'll give it to Susie, who, she doesn't have anything on her plate until Thursday, Like a lot of times we think that someone's asking us because we're the only one that can do something. But it's a matter of just laying out realistic expectations. And, listen, even in my own marriage, it happens all the time. Hey, when are you going to be able to do X, Y, and Z? I can't get to X, Y, and Z until 2 weeks down the road.
Yeah, but when are you going to cancel that pay-per-view subscription, Nathan?
I can't do that until 2 weeks down the road, he says.
I love Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. It is my one vice. I cry every time they throw the kids in the prison, and it's like, why? Why do we hate all the children in this fake fantasy realm? This doesn't make sense. All right.
Oh, that's amazing.
But anyways,
I'll add the train derails again.
I'll add one more note to end us on a high note for this, and that's so I've been in corporate in America. I've been in corporate America for almost 7 years now, and the one thing I've learned probably more than anything else consistently is that the person who takes on all of the work and cannot accomplish it is less valuable than the person who can delegate and mitigate problems in a much more meaningful way. So for me, when I am our team lead, so whenever something comes in, generally it's my job to delegate it or to do it. And being able to do that is important. Like if I just did everything myself, one, the people that I work with wouldn't learn, and two, I would be stressed out and bogged down and feeling like no one can help me out, which is a very nice formula for a terrible work environment. So it's always good to delegate and to help people learn and to use those things as a teaching opportunity. And that includes teaching people how to go the extra mile and to go the extra mile for other people.
Yeah, and one tip I would say, so if you're listening to this and you are in a position of leadership in the business world and you have people underneath you, you need to write down some tenets that you feel are very important to getting the cohesion of your team, the culture. You set the culture for your team. And it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the culture of the company as a whole is. Now, it does matter. I understand that. Like, it's very difficult to be in a difficult culture. But you set the culture for your team down. Now, the culture above you may be rotten and difficult to work under, but you set the culture for your team. And so, I did this. And I would write basically like my 10 rules for success, right? And a lot of this was here, like we don't over promise and under deliver. Radical honesty, mentoring. Like there's some tips in there that I would put in, but I set that expectation for my team, and I would shield them from the culture that was above us, right? Because I knew I set the culture for my team. And you'd be amazed at how much of a difference that can make when, they feel that you're in the fight with them and you're living up to the expectations and some ideals that you've set forth for that team. And it can be a very, very powerful dynamic. Now, the opposite is also true. Because you set the culture for your team, even if your larger company has a really awesome culture, you can really make a negative experience, a negative culture for your team, and so and also understand that, like, if you are in an upper echelon of leadership, understand that your local leaders set the cultures for their team. So don't just assume because you have this 50-year company and great culture that permeates the whole entire organization. If you have the wrong team leader in place, that whole team down could be cancerous in culture. You can never assume that your culture just goes through osmosis throughout the entire company unless you're intentional about making it so.
Yeah, no, that's really good. And, I, for one, have really appreciated this series, and I'm going to be sad to see it go.
I got some good news for you, Jeremiah.
Uh-oh. What's that?
Some good news. So we have an announcement. So we are going to be doing our next podcast is going to be a Facebook Live. So next week, we're going to be doing a Facebook Live talking about leadership, answering your questions, kind of talking about recapping what we've talked about in this, talking about some other subjects, talking about subjects that you want. So you can either submit that to Money Power Pod on all the socials, including moneypowerpod@gmail.com. And so we'll answer those as well. Or you can just come to the Facebook Live. It's going to be on Tuesday, August 7th. We're working through the time, so be paying attention to our socials because we'll make sure it's put out there. And we're going to talk about leadership and kind of do a capstone to our leadership discussion. And then the following week, we will not have a regular podcast. We are going to put the 5 laws of leadership. we're going to basically string them together so you can listen to it in one setting. And also, because some of you have asked to be able to share that with your teams, and you don't necessarily want to say, hey, go to the 35-minute mark or whatever. So we're going to make it an easy resource for you to be able to share with your teams, share with your companies, listen to with your spouse and or your church or wherever you would like to do this. And it will be a good resource for you.
Yeah, especially after news bits on this episode, you might not want to be sending your team to, wade through the abyss.
This is accurate. So,
but yeah, so the most important thing there is follow us on Facebook at Money Power Pod, and make sure you're getting the notifications for when we go live.
Absolutely. And so I guess that takes us into feedback. Jeremiah.
Yeah, just to reiterate a couple things, we've had some really good feedback as it relates to leadership questions. They didn't really fit into any of the specific 5 laws of relationship that we've been going over, and so we will for sure cover those on our next week on our Facebook Live. Just to reiterate, at Money Power Pod on all socials, moneypowerpod@gmail.com, and like and follow us there. Send us an email, send us a voice memo, and we will we'll make sure we play that and discuss next week.
All right. Do we have any feedback?
So we do have one very, very, very important piece of feedback. It's from Tony Vance, and he says he sent us a link, and it's an article in the New Yorker. It says a very high culture show topic, and it is a 4,300 word essay on what MASH taught us. So many years later, what MASH has taught us. And so if you want to check that out, thank you, Tony Vance, for sending that to us. And
let's go ahead and read. Let's go ahead and read through it. Go ahead.
Is there a TLDR on that?
Rationality has lost its currency.
Yes.
The people in charge are dolts, masters of manipulation, making testosterone-fueled incendiary moves on the world stage.
I'm falling asleep already. All right. Any other feedback?
I will say. Who
thanks.
wrote that?
Thanks for that, Tony. So if you want to check that out, you can go to check out what MASH taught us on the New Yorker, NewYorker.com. I had jokingly commented on the Money Power Pod Facebook page. So it was as Money Power Pod. I said, this is we're going to devote an entire episode to this, and then attributed it to Rob, probably.
I will say that, and then that post has been our most liked post.
And then, of course, Rob's suggestion is, hey, let's read the whole 4,000 words. Mm-hmm. So, it's obviously not outside of his character. So
it was a little tongue in Kylie Jenner's cheek.
Weird.
All right. Guys, it is that time. Parting shots.
Oh, I thought this was the part where we just redo the episode. But yes, I'll get the gun. Stand by. Yep, here it comes.
Nice. Right on time, as always.
Perfect.
Impeccable.
Well.
Oh, yeah. I guess I'm supposed to say something.
Yeah, parting shots, Nathan.
Parting shots. Rob, what do you got?
I read a book this week.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was good.
You wrote a book or you read a book?
Read. R-E-D.
Oh, okay.
I read a book this week.
Got it. Now I'm crystal clear. Gotcha.
Yes. Awesome. And
Perfect. Chris,
would you like to share with us what this book was?
Sure. So I don't really have a lot of good parting shots. I don't really get fired up about a lot of things. So I do read a lot though. So my parting shots are probably just gonna be books primarily. So if you don't like that, then I don't care. So this week I read Stephen King's new book called The Outsider, and it was good enough. It was good enough. I gave it a 3.9 out of 5. Same as The President is Missing. So it was like 600 pages or 18 hours on Audible. So it's like the first 16 hours were story and the last 2 hours were action. So that's not my style, but it was good enough. I would definitely recommend it.
It was basically 3 episodes of Money Power Podcast.
Yeah.
Or listening to Stephen King. You probably made a good move there.
Only 3 episodes? No, you could probably listen to our whole catalog in 18 hours.
I don't know. I was being facetious, but
I don't know. Some of those early episodes.
although I did know that, a certain podcast recommended other podcasts and our podcast wasn't on that.
Well, it's because I'm on the podcast. It looks kind of douchey if I recommend my own podcast. It's like, hey, if I do a top 5 podcast list, I would own 60% of that list. That doesn't look cool.
And
It sounds to me like you need to be a part of more podcasts so that it doesn't seem like you're being just favorable to your podcast. Yeah. You can pick your top 4 and, out of the 20 podcasts you're on, it's like, it's not that big of a deal.
yeah,
That's a good point. That's a good point.
it's called self-promotion, Rob.
I will say this. Tony Vance posted an article on his blog about the top 3 podcasts that you must listen to.
No,
Rob's
that
podcast,
you need.
Yes.
3 podcasts that you need.
3 podcasts you need. Yes, correct. Number 1 was Apologetics 105, one of Rob's.
Ding,
and
ding, ding.
Then there were 2 other podcasts I don't remember. But in the description, the paragraph related to Apologetics 105, Tony, when I called him out on this, I was, giving him a hard time, and he said, well, Money and Power got a mention. And I said, and so I read the paragraph, and it said, Rob Johnson, who also is a host of Rob Talks Money and Money and Power, does this Apologetics 105, and it's really great. And I'm like, you're right. You did literally mention us. Yeah. So
I guess I'll take it.
Were your names in the article?
What?
Were your names in the article?
No,
just the podcast.
it just said you're the host of these 3 podcasts, and of these 3 podcasts, one is worth mentioning, Apologetics 105. Basically, is what I got from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, we love you,
Good
Tony.
article, Tony.
And I'm still waiting on that article about our podcast, but
It's all right. I did some self-promotion of our podcast on another podcast forum, and I got smacked down for it, so it was all right.
That's right.
Yeah. It was like,
don't be
that's not really
trespassing.
the purpose of this forum. I was like, okay. Yeah, sorry.
that's amazing.
What's a lowly podcast gonna do?
Not get any more listeners.
Just a small town podcast trying to dance.
Yeah.
Right.
We're like the
Jeremiah,
homely
what's your-
podcast.
Jeremiah, what's your podcast? What's your parting shot?
So there's this really great podcast I've been listening to. It's called Money and Power, and you guys should check it out.
I heard Rob Johnson's the host.
Yes, and what a great host he is. It is a podcast you need. But no, one of the podcasts I do listen to regularly is the Ben Shapiro Show, and he just started this new program called his Sunday Special, where he has 1-hour conversations with just a variety of guests, and they just run the gamut of from left to right and religious, atheist, all over the place, and it's been really interesting. He just has honestly just a lot of the same types of conversations that we try to have here, where, hey, we're not going to agree on everything, but we can at least come to the table and have a conversation about it. And obviously, we're a big fan of that. And so he's got that. Every Sunday he comes out with a new one. Well, this past Sunday he had Mike Rowe on, and I'm a huge fan of Mike Rowe. And just about, dare I say he's, my celebrity crush? I don't know, but yeah, that got weird. But at least I'm not a fan of Caitlyn Jenner. Anyway,
just remember, I edit the show. Just remember that.
Yes, I need to remember that. No, but yeah, Ben Shapiro Sunday special. He had Mike Rowe on, and here's a clip. If you could hook us up with that, Rob.
Let me see. That'll be a brief intermission.
So kind, sir.
Why Safari loads? They may be asking, why am I using Safari?
Passion in any relationship is that it's very high at the very beginning, and companionate love is that it's very low, and then in very short order, passionate love drops precipitously and companionate love increases precipitously. And so you can bet on passionate love, but no matter how you bet on passionate love, within a year, that passionate love is going to be declining. The question is whether the companionate love is actually going to last. And so if you go into it with... Exactly. If you go into it with the mentality that this is something you're going to have to stick to, the chances you have a successful marriage are going to be a lot better than I'm going to go into it because I'm passionate about it. Because every job eventually becomes a job. No matter how passionate you are about your initial belief in a job, and I love my job, and I'm sure you love your job, eventually it gets to the point where, yeah, I got to get up this morning, got to go to work. And it's still you getting up and going to work.
Happiness is a terrific symptom. It's a terrible goal, right? It's just a terrible goal because it's a sucker's bet. If happiness were that tangible, then the same thing would make everyone happy. But obviously it doesn't, But I'm sure of that. I'm not sure of much, but I'm sure of that.
Yeah, there you go. That was just a quick 1-minute clip of the conversation. It's an hour long. It's really great. I mean, they talk about the value of education. They talk about a lot of the things we've talked about on this show, education, and the difference between skilled labor and the need for a 4-year degree and going into debt, and a lot of things that Mike Rowe has made a part of his career. And it's just a really good conversation. And so whether you like Ben Shapiro or not, whether you like Mike Rowe or not, it's a good conversation, and I definitely recommend it's worth a listen.
Outstanding. All right, so my parting shot, so much to choose from. I could have riffed on the fact that California is banning straws, which is insane. Whatever. Could have riffed on James Gunn getting fired from the Guardians of the Galaxy thing. Could have riffed on just the world's falling apart. It's great. All right, so, but I'm not going to. My parting shot is going to be some good news. Twofold. First is football's upon us.
Yes.
NFL is reported to training camps. This Friday, Nebraska starts their fall camp. It's glorious. And on Thursday, the Hall of Fame game is upon us. So preseason football. It's just real football is just right around the corner, guys. Right around the corner. Now, for our Canadian friends, we understand the CFL has been going on for a few weeks. And I will admit, on Thursdays and Friday nights, I've been watching the CFL because... what else am I going to watch?
I'm sorry, you've been watching a light bulb?
No, the Canadian Football League.
Oh, that kind of CFL. Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, so, and it's okay. What else are you going to watch on ESPN? Okay, ESPN's been playing cornhole leagues and also video game leagues has been running on ESPN.
Wow.
Watching other people play video games is not exciting.
A lot of people on Twitch would beg to differ.
I was about to say Twitch is booming.
Done. Whatever.
There's
Anyways,
one dude on there makes like $1 million a month. It's crazy.
anyways, I tried. I actually did enjoy the professional cornhole league, because I'm like, I could actually do that. But anyways.
What is it?
So
what is cornhole?
what? You're like from Michigan, Rob. You don't know what cornhole is?
Is it the game?
You throw
is it the beanbag game where you throw
bean
the
bags
ball?
into like a
Okay,
board
yeah,
that has a
yeah.
hole in it.
We don't call it that, but yeah, okay, got it.
Oh, you call it bean bag?
I don't even know what we call it.
Okay.
Sorry,
Boy,
man.
you Michiganders really living up to your
We're busy. We
living
don't
up to
got
your
time
vibe.
we don't got time to play cornhole with each other. We're busy.
Okay. So anyways,
Something bad tap water.
yeah, I don't
Busy.
know. Whatever. Anyways,
Oh,
so
that's not nice.
my parting shot was about football. Obviously, football's back, so glory. And we need to do some kind of football preview that we can talk about how Michigan State's probably going to be pretty good this year, and Nebraska's
Yep.
going to exceed their expectations. I've already pounded the over at 6.5. But no, I wanted to kind of talk about LeBron James. So he opened up his charter school in Akron, and I just wanted to give him an attaboy. You know what? Stepped up. Like, he put a lot of money into that, and it's going to help a lot of kids. And there's nothing really to snark about there. It's gonna be great. So
Yeah.
I mean, I still think Michael Jordan's the greatest all time, but he decided to sink his millions into like casinos and owning I don't know, it's almost a semi-professional basketball team. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I don't know if we talked about this on our pilot or episode 1, but we talked about celebrity culture and how we don't really care what a lot of celebrities think. Most people don't. And one of the issues that I've heard people say is like, people complain, these celebrities complain about the issues, but they don't really, do anything about it. And, frankly, I don't agree with LeBron James on much, politically, but, to your point, good on him for, putting his money where his mouth is and, actually doing something about the issues that he sees, rather than just, being a talking head and complaining about it on TV. So,
yeah,
really good on him. I agree.
good on him. Attaboy.
Cool. Yeah. Why don't you win a finals, then we'll talk.
Well, he has to do something with his time. I mean, he's definitely not winning anything in LA next year. So.
Dubs in 4.
All right. So, guys, that's been the podcast. It's been a great podcast. Thank you for having us in your car or living room or wherever you choose to listen to our podcast. Hopefully not any place really weird, but whatever. Or if you have a weird story of where you listen to our podcast, send feedback. We're open to listen to that.
Yeah. Follow us on Facebook for our Facebook Lives next week. Let's do it.
But it's been great. And you know why it's been really great?
What is that?
I felt a little peppy. It's because Strike Force Energy.
There you go.
As always, Strike Force Energy just constantly bringing the hits. You know what? If you dare think that this podcast is boring, just think how god awful this podcast would be if we didn't have Strike Force Energy. Be thankful, guys. StrikeForceEnergy.com for all your energy needs. And you can go on there and you can use our coupon code MAP, stands for Money and Power, MAP, for 20% off all your orders at StrikeForceEnergy.com. It's
true.
Wonderful. Good stuff. So thank you to Strike Force Energy. And also thank you to Ben Shapiro and Mike Rowe and, Caitlyn Jenner. Give him, a shout out. I don't know. What's the PC? Is it her, right?
Her would be the PC. Him would be the correct term.
I don't know. Them. I
Also,
don't
thank
know.
you to MoviePass for
Thank
sponsoring
you to
us.
MoviePass
or-
for the content. Thank you to Miss Hill for shooting her husband, because without that,
Whoa.
we wouldn't have had a whole segment. Thank you for Major Woods for cracking the case. Thank you. And thank you to Jeremiah Martin and Rob Johnson for joining me on this wonderful trip that we call life. It's been great. Appreciate it. Good night. Good luck.
I got the money in the pile. Once you get a little, they just wanna take you down, cuz we've been going hard for too long. Can't get enough, what is you on? Really ain't nothing I could drop that. Wake up in the morning, make it all day. It's nothing to get it poppin', wanna roll up and away, here we go. Now Martin had a dream, I've been dreaming about gold. Tell him I just wanna shine.